Following up on last week's point about simplicity, as to how us humans have a bias towards simplicity and how that has helped us evolutionarily, today we'll talk about why things are not so simple and why we keep making things simple for ourselves, for our understanding, why this thing is a boon and a bane, and things like universal solution, one rule to live your life by, and guaranteed results using this method, and all these sort of rubbish stuff that is written in self-help books and clickbaity YouTube videos. Let's find out about this and more in today's episode of Perfectly Average. I'll start off by giving an example about a really popular thing. I'm sure all of you must have heard of it, Newton's laws of motion. Now, Newton's laws of motion are taught to everybody in school and college, not because they're 100% correct, they're not. Not because they can be considered the bedrock of physics, they can't be because they're wrong. They're taught because they are simple to teach and they're simple to understand, and also because they can justify most of the things that happen around us. The only anomalies that you can observe in those laws is with very sophisticated equipment. So these laws exist several years after being disproven by Einstein because they're way simpler to understand than the general relativity given by Einstein. Maybe some of you don't believe me, and for those of you that are interested to know more, please Google Mercury's orbit and select whatever the first suggestion is given by Google. Before we go any further, I'd just like to address the elephant in the room. Of course, all of you must be thinking that, of course, everything is more complicated if you get into the nitty gritty of it. Nothing would be simple. And you're correct. But the difference lies in knowing what you don't know and not knowing what you don't know. Let me elaborate. Most of us who drive cars know that we don't know how an engine works, and that is okay. You knowing that you don't know anything is okay and absolutely fine. The problem lies in not knowing what you don't know and misinterpreting it as you knowing that thing because it was oversimplified for you. Where in reality, it is way more complicated to understand and it was just dumbed down for you to understand. I know this is getting a little complicated, but play it back a few times, you'll understand. So, what I'm saying here is that all truths are way more difficult than we believe them to be. What we understand is just an oversimplification according to our convenience. And that is okay. All of us can have our own truths regarding the same thing based on our prejudices and understandings, and that's fine. But the problem lies when a oversimplified version becomes the truth and people treat it as if that was the initial truth to begin with. What does that mean? What do I mean when I say that the oversimplified version is treated as a truth? Let's take the example of any bad self help book or a social media influencer that tells you how you should live your life. They all have one thing in common: they generalize. They tell you that if you do these five things, your life will be changed forever. And that is simply not true because no one rule can be applied to 7 billion of us. And to be fair, there are plenty of good self help books out there and plenty of good influencers out there that are pretty good at not advising you on how you should live your life. Rather, what they do is that they use their life as an example to showcase all the decisions that they've taken and all the repercussions that they had to face for that. So, if somebody tells you that there's this 5 step plan to change your life, they're lying. No one fitness regime can work for everybody. No one skincare routine can work for everybody. No one movie that everybody should watch. No one song that everybody should hear. You get my point, right? Everything depends, everything is subjective. But you knew that already, right? You are a pretty smart person. You knew that there's no universal rule to understand and solve every misery in this world. But can you please explain to me why is there this dissonance when it comes to knowing that there's no universal solution and still believing in it? Why are the most popular people in the world with the most following people that claim they have a solution to end every crisis in this world? They could be either religious people or they could be people that are trying to send us to Mars. Think about why you like certain people more than others. Is it because they make things more complicated for you, or do they make things simple? Now, some of you might be thinking that, well, simplification helps in a lot of things. Like simplification in a certain fitness regime helps you to get into that zone, and then you can probably research more about it and then go further and treat further. And that is very correct. Simplification helps you to get going. But remember that simplification can only be a stepping stone, can only be a starting point. It cannot be the philosophy that you live your life with. And if you're that person that starts off something with very simple concepts and doesn't back off when things get a little more detailed and complicated, then congratulations, you're on the right track. And this not backing off when things get difficult is the easiest way to know how much you want a thing. The dissonance that I was talking to you about earlier, I can see that in plenty of places, most of which are really funny. One thing that I cannot believe that exists on YouTube is tons of videos titled Universal Solution for Rubik's Cube. And these videos have gotten lakhs of views. This just goes to show that how willing people are to cross the finish line, to get to the finish line without putting in any effort. And the reason why these videos exist and have so many views, and also the reason why today's media is more like a reality TV show, is because the truth is really boring. Nobody remembers the US president whose assassination failed, or that Columbus was not the greatest explorer. Everybody wants fast results, everybody wants that one master key to unlock all locks. Thank you for listening. See you in the next one.